What does 15 is greater than 1 mean? Dayton head coach Tamika Williams-Jeter and senior forward Arianna Smith are here to answer that question and more. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and happy Friday. You are Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm Natalie Heavren, and I'm a features writer and the Atlantic 10 beat reporter for The Next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Today, we'll chat all about how the Flyers have taken a jump in year 3 under Tamika Williams-Jeter, how Arianna Smith is continuing to make an impact in her senior season, and take a look ahead at the last 8 days of the regular season. So joining me today is Dayton women's basketball head coach Tamika Williams-Jeter and senior forward Arianna Smith. Thank you both for joining me today. I just want to get started. Either one of you can answer, but it's been all over your social media accounts since the beginning of the season. What does 15 is greater than 1 mean?
That's you, Nani. Y'all pick it.
So earlier in the year, we went on a retreat because I don't know if you know, we are a very new group. Only 6 of us came back from last year's team. So there's a lot of new faces. And so we went on a retreat and we wanted to come up with something that we felt like was important for our team. And so there's 15 girls on the team. And so we were coming up with a few different ones and we was like, no. And then we decided on 15 greater than 1. And that basically was just meaning like, us as a whole is greater than just one person. It can't be one person that dictates or, feels like they are the only one out there because we're a whole team. So when we all move together. So that's why we decided on 15 is greater than 1.
Awesome. And, how has the team embodied it this season? And how has it helped you gel as a mostly new group?
I feel like 15 greater than 1, like I said, is like us moving as a group. And like you said, there's a lot of new faces. So all of us having to gel together, get to know each other, and using that quote or that little, just that thing has moved us in the direction of like, okay, like, even when one person is down, we have to pick her up because it's 15 of us, no matter what. We have to make sure that we're not leaving someone behind. We're not having somebody lag because, we're sisters at the end of the day. So being a collective group that's always holding each other accountable for everything, pushing each other in practice, and just overall as a whole, like 15 is always going to be greater than 1.
And coach, for you, what does it mean to have this be a player-led mantra and then also see it all come together over the last few months?
I think it's great. We actually went into it with, I had a couple, and I think mine was very similar to what they picked. Because I came into it thinking I had to pick it because I picked it the other years. It really didn't stick. And it was great that they took the initiative early in the season as a new group to not only do the ropes course and the obstacle course that was outside all day long and stay in dorms and things of that nature to be uncomfortable. They knew to be uncomfortable would bring them closer together. Right. So I think them just taking that on, and it does get tough. I got on them hard today, but they know they got to gel together. They got to come together for us to finish the season off the way we want to. So I love it. I think it shows ownership over the team, and ultimately they're the ones on the court playing. So I was excited about it.
And then, coach, you've won more A10 games than both of your first 2 seasons. What's clicked in season 3 for you?
Nani got older, start figuring it out. It's a lot easier when you got somebody in the middle that's a double every night. And Nani you were at the Rhode Island game, and she got in foul trouble, not necessarily a bad game, right? But she was in foul trouble. She wasn't able to be on the floor, but also taking that on, they're not babies anymore. Like I talked to them, like now that's who you have to be every game. And then the next game, she had a bad game. She was due for one, right? And that was probably the first time that Nani let me like get on her afterwards. Like I was like, "Who are you? What's your name?" Because you weren't at the last game. You stunk up the floor, like her, and she didn't say anything back. Usually like, "Well, Coach Meek, bye," like she would. So the maturity of who she is in 3 years, and you see her improvement every year on and off the court, it's now paying off for her because now the team looks at her like, when she was a little sick before the last game, but they're looking like, "Oh, now you gonna travel?" Like we get people get a little bit of an anxiety. They get a little, they get a little rise when she's not on the floor, but she's earned the right to be in that space. So I think her players like Ivy Wolf maturing and getting older, Shannon Wheeler, who's played tremendous for us this year, her senior season, they started to mature and they took ownership of the team. And when they don't, trust me, I throw it back at them, because I'm not on the court playing, they are. And I think them owning that. But I think Nani's a great example of why we are where we are. It's not me. I just cuss at him a couple times and, try to put him in position. It's the work that's being done on and off the court that people don't see how hard it is. And now she knows it's a responsibility, of hers, that when she doesn't do it, the team's looking like, "Nani, where you at?" She has to do it for this team to succeed. So I think you got a great example sitting right in front of you.
And, Arianna, you came in Coach's first season. How have you seen the program grow and develop under her? And how have you and the team continued to grow and develop as well?
Just based off of just the records, that's just the number one thing. It's been a tough 3 years. This has been, I don't want to say the easiest, but it's been the one that's been the most not challenging. My sophomore year, of course, I came in off of an ACL, MCL, LCL, 2 meniscus, and I got the most from Coach Meek. She believed in me from the beginning, even before I was even able to step foot on the court. And that was the biggest thing that kept me here. You know what I'm saying? So just that year, and then last year, like, okay, we grew on top of what we did the previous year with only 7 players. And then this year, we got a whole, and now we have a whole roster. And so, like, I just seen the growth, and just within the growth of the team has put, like she said, put me in a position where I'm growing with the coaches and I'm also growing within myself. So.
Yeah. And then, Coach, I asked you at Media Day, who are a couple people that people should keep an eye out for. Is there anyone that, maybe not surprised you, but, would be a surprise for everyone else to see? And Arianna, you can answer this too.
All right, want me to go first, Nani?
You can.
For me, and Nani's on here, so this is a credit to her and her maturity, right? Molly O'Riordan is playing very well for us. And she wasn't at the beginning of the season. And she plays a lot of filler minutes for Nani and Shannon. And but they kick her butt every day. And Nani's on her hard, even when she's doing something right. And she elbows her and, she was, just spinning in circles. But the one thing I will say about that kid is she stayed right in the pocket. Of challenging and trying to do the right things and trying to echo repeat things, and has become a better rebounder because look who she goes against in practice, who she has to box out every day. So I think if anyone, I'm surprised at how fast it's come for her, but I also think iron sharp is iron. And for her, she came in, very dull, but she was going against something very refined, and who Nani is every day in practice. And Shannon, and then she also gets blocking shots and, being that. But I think the toughness and the tenacity that Nani plays with has made that kid grow very quickly. And we go into a Duquesne game. We've never beaten Duquesne, since we've been here. And Nani and Ivy get in foul trouble. And now I got to play Molly. And I'm having heart palpitations, and Shannon's in foul trouble. So now I'm really, I'm kind of like up and down. But it was great to go into halftime, and they don't see it when you're saying it. I don't think that 90 of them are thinking about it. They Mika's on her stuff again. But it kept us in the game enough for the finishers to come in and deliver the last punch. And I really meant every minute of that. So our halftime speech wasn't about like making adjustments. It was about, hey, remember this moment. And you prepare for it because you ran through the fire. You didn't run away from it. And now, Nani and Ivy, y'all better do what you do, and that's how we won that game. But I think the other thing is leaving legacy. I don't think when we're on the grind winning 6 games with 7 people, we're just thinking about the next game and the next breath. And I'm thinking about what can we do to hold this team up. And, you're not thinking about stuff like that. You're laying a foundation of what you want to leave. Nani left a great foundation at Afrocentric, her high school. And I really believe she wants to leave it here because she's grown the most to me. And I hold that dear to my heart. So she got to finish off the season, though. She know I'll come for her in 5 seconds. But I think that's something that's happened, and that's been a big part of our success when we are winning is our bench.
Okay. Just to piggyback off of what Coach Meek said, I definitely feel like it's Molly, and I also do think Shannon to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning, she was in on herself a little bit, and now she's hitting threes, shooting threes that she would have been hesitating, not driving, not looking for. And so I feel like she's grown in that space. But especially Molly, I've spoken on Molly. I forgot what game it was, but she had a great game rebounding. And someone asked me, like, what do y'all do with Molly? I'm like, one thing I do is I'm a person of, I like to lead by not just example, but also by my voice. So like, I had a conversation with Molly, and I told her, I was like, if there's anything more that you need from me, because I want her to take the role that I'm trying to leave, since I am a senior. Like, so I want her to take this role and be able to push, Eve in a uncomfortable way, and also the bigs that are coming in following her. So I told her, I was like, it's a big role to be like the big that people look to, but at the same time, it's something that you can use as encouragement, as like a step, like it makes you feel good, like, okay, like people are really looking at me as this. And so Molly told me, she was like, I really do look up to you, and that makes me feel good, because then it's like, okay, I gotta walk in the right steps, so because I don't want her to follow in the wrong steps. And that's one thing that Coach Meek has pushed me these past few years, is that I can move a band, like I can move it in a good way, or I can move it in a bad way. And so this year I've been holding myself accountable for the mistakes I've made in the past, to not make those mistakes this year, and just be the best person that I can be, especially as being a senior and leaving a legacy.
Coming up next, we'll talk more about how Arianna Smith is excelling on the court this season, her journey at Dayton, and more. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. There's so many ways you can take advantage of this deal, like fueling your watch party. Planning to catch the next game? Order your go-to snacks and meals at a discount and get ready for more high-scoring action. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. You're averaging a career high and leading the conference in field goal percentage this season, shooting better than 60% from the floor. How did you continue to improve to now find yourself again at the top of the conference?
I think my main thing is knowing when it's the right shot. And I'm around the basket. It's the easy. With
Not
Coach
easy.
Meek
Not easy.
having the best field goal percentage in the NCAA, still to this day, the easiest baskets is around the rim. And so if I have 2 feet in the paint, that should be a easy 2. And so like I'm big on knowing, what is the right shot. Is it good? Is it a good shot? Is it a great shot? Or is it a bad shot? So this year I've been focusing on like, okay, if I do have 2 feet in, okay, that's straight up. If I don't, maybe I have to make a move. If I'm getting, what I'm saying? Like I'm now more cognitive of, where my shots are coming from, where I'm most efficient from, and that's around the rim.
And then coach, what work does she put in behind the scenes that you've seen that maybe people outside the program wouldn't know about to get her to this point?
I think Nani has put in a lot of time. Nani on the court, she does a lot before the ball even gets to her. It's not easy to run the floor as hard as she does. It's not easy to defend the other bigs in our conference. They're really, really, really good. It's not easy to rebound. She's also one of the top rebounders in our conference at a high level. And then on the offensive end, I think just us putting more of an emphasis of getting the ball on the inside. I think that was just me just being a better head coach. Honestly, she had to do the work to get better, right? But we also have to get her the ball and when she's open for it. And now it's interesting enough, we're during the season where she's getting double teamed or heavy help. So she's posting her butt off and we had to get through to like, hey, you're not open, but it's open up someone else. So um that's when you really know you're cooking, when you still can get what you need, right? And she's still getting her finishes and doing all her stuff, but also now other people are eating off of her because she's such a force for us in the paint. So those are pretty much the two things. I think she does a lot of work before she gets the ball. There's a lot of sealing. There's a lot of hitting. Nani's a pretty rough player in there. But it's also delivery of the passes have improved. We've gotten players in who can get her the ball. We've had players mature that can get her the ball more. So I think that really helps out. And she runs the floor hard. So she's going to get 4 to 6 points just off of leak outs, and we call them pancakes. And then she's going to roll really hard. She's going to get a couple more, and then she's going to get some offensive rebounds. And she makes free throws, so you don't want to foul her. So she's kind of cover all the bases for what we need out of her. We just need other people now to play off of her and do really well. Shannon Wheeler has done that very well this season, been way more consistent than she's ever been. Really attacking, spent some time with our young kids, didn't have to really practice yesterday, but still spent some time. And then you see young kids like Molly, really, most kids don't play their freshman year. She plays a couple minutes, but very impactful because of Nani.
And then senior day is coming up,
Mhm.
Nani, what have the last 3 years meant to you at Dayton?
Oh, wow. Like I said at the beginning, it's been a road. It's been a really, really bumpy road. It's been a straight road. It's been a roller coaster. It's been
write a book.
everything. It's been everything, but it has made me grow in spaces that I didn't believe I could grow in. Last year I feel like I was at, I don't want to say my lowest, but Coach Meek was definitely really, really hard on me, and it made me into who I am today. And at that time, I would have been like, "Oh, Nani, like she's just on you. She's just doing this to you. Like, like of course, like that's just everybody. That's the defense mechanism." And so this year, before this year even came up, I told her I was like, "I'm going to be a different person, and I'm going to show you I'm going to be a different person. I'm not going to be the same person that always makes excuses for everything that she does, or I'm not going to be that person that always, puts her head down, or just not looking the right way, or not understanding where she's coming from." And so this year I've grown in many different aspects that I've never thought I would have even tried or even thought of to grow in. And so, like I said, these 3 years have been a roller coaster, but this year I feel like has pushed me in a space where now I feel like I'm able to go out into the real world and be successful.
And what's next for you after Dayton?
Right
Yeah,
now,
we want to know.
Right now, I am like 80% sure that I'm definitely going to go overseas, play pro for a little bit, and then come back and become an accountant.
Awesome.
So yeah,
best of both worlds.
Yes. That's
She's handling all the money.
Yeah, for sure. That's where my mindset is right now.
And then coach, what has Nani meant to you and the program over the last 3 years?
Let me hear this.
It's not hard for me where she is now, and just as much as they grow, I grow. And I'm very honest to them about that. Like, man, I dropped the ball there. I might apologize here or there, because I asked a lot out of them, but I also want them to be successful when they leave here. And even Nani's her one bad game, right? And that next day, I couldn't wait to go after her because I wanted her to say something. And she didn't. She just gave me that look like, you better get out my face. She gave me that look like, okay, I know I was stinky. Like I'm on both ends. And it was both ends of the floor. You never really see her do that. It was just bad, bad, bad. But she was due for one. Nobody's perfect, right? But no excuses. She said nothing. There was no energy to me. Like, Coach Meek, why you getting on me? It was like, I wanted her to feel taking ownership over who she needed to be every day, right? And that her teammates finally see her in that space that she wanted to be seen. And her coaches, assistant coaches, all like, we're 90, like there's a need to have 90 on the floor. Um, and I want her to be there, and to get everything that's due to her. But I knew she had to work hard, and I knew she had to be in a mindset to leave a legacy behind and help somebody else out. And I think she's really embodied that the best she's could this year, and is showing off, because her teammates look for her in those spaces. So she's been everything. You talk about a progression just as much as I've grown, she has. In 3 years, we've been through a lot, from 7 players, half a roster, injuries. We really, Eleanor, our walk-on, I said we can write a book. The originals, the OGs can write a book, of how to take something that has a high value but is nothing. We were all taking a chance on each other, honestly, and then, you figure out a little bit more year 2. And now we're in year 3, and, like having the best year ever, and hopefully won't play on the first day of tournament. It's the little stuff for us that matters. And she gets to walk out of here leaving a legacy, as one of the most dominant players that play here in the paint. So I'm happy for Nani.
Coming up next, we'll talk about what's ahead for Dayton as the regular season winds down, Tamika Williams-Jeter and Arianna Smith's favorite parts of the season so far, and more. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. You've talked a lot about that first season, and not having a lot of depth. What has having depth meant for you this season?
A break.
Oh yes, a break. Because that one year, I would practice. We would only practice an hour, but we practice hard. They look at me. I'll be like, "We're, timeouts coming." We had to blow out our timeouts at the end of the game. It was just chaos, but it made them tough. You know what I'm saying? And I think even in that locker room, we only won 6 games, but you could tell they wanted more the next year. Nobody really talked about playing time, but I also think it gave an opportunity for us to be competitive in practice. We'd be Christmases, we might have the coaches in there, a couple of practice players, but we had enough to practice, and they got to see different things. Now you got to see somebody like Eve that's long, right? Somebody like Molly, who is going to hard Draymond. Somebody like Shannon, who can match her competitiveness and athleticism. Mostly her athleticism, that can go up there and play in her space. People double teaming. Just things that we've just come a long way in those aspects, of being able to create an environment of competitive nature and practice that are not just with our practice guys, right? And it's healthy, right? There are a couple of times where Nani is going up and Shannon just throws it out of bounds, and then she comes down and she'll throw, Molly shot out of bounds. That competitive spirit, and being able to walk away and be like, "Hey, I'm good. Y'all want to go have some coffee?" So we didn't have that. We couldn't create that. The only people who could create that is our practice players. So the talent level has gone up, which has helped. And like I said, now we got people who can deliver passes, that can make shots, and there's been a lot of people who've come through here that, have built this, that aren't here, that have graduated from here, that I'm appreciative of, every last one of them, So I think now it's our time to get what we put in for. And this year's really showing the outcome of all that work.
And for both of you, what's been the highlight or your favorite part of the season so far?
Nani, you got this.
I'm gonna take it back a little bit. Our first blue game, our first Chapel Blue game, against Providence. We had one of our freshmen go off that game. She had a really, really great game. And it was just a great win. Like, I feel like everybody was celebrating everybody's successes. It just felt like the environment was just so very live. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Just, it felt surreal, but like I was living in the moment, you know? So, like, it just felt so great. Like, especially getting the dub, you know, like everything was just so, it was just so, it was unexplainable. I feel like that was my favorite highlight of this year. Definitely.
Mine would be, I know this is crazy to say, but it was our first conference game at Richmond. And I think we ended up losing by 18 or 20, but we had made them play very differently. They, regardless of who they played that year, Aaron does a great job of like Tennessee, and they played, I think, Alabama, but they never play any differently. Teams never really throw them off. You just outscore them, but they're going to defend. They're not going to turn the ball over. They're going to make, a certain amount of threes. They had three people shoot over 50%. And we kind of, our physicality, the way we played and we were flying around, we were actually happy leaving that game. But in that space, we had just come from a very close competitive game against Vanderbilt and then back-to-back Richmond, right? So 2 losses. But we threw punches. Like we were slugging at that time. And that those games really made me think, man, we can really put a dent in and maybe get, I mean, I was thinking at the time like 8 or 9 wins, and we, right now we're right there. We could probably go 10 or 11 right now if we can knock some of these teams out. So that's what it really told me. It was actually the 2 losses that I was like, and we walked away. And that was the first time like I probably would have let them we leave, and they were actually talking a little bit on the plane or the bus, but you could tell it was kind of like, oh yeah, we coming, like you could feel it a little bit differently. So those 2 losses for me were moments where we had a tough week. Nani will tell you about that. We had, we got after that Miami loss, and then we punched Vanderbilt. We gave them a slugfest, and then we go to Richmond and make them play more different than anybody had made them play that whole season. And then we start to, I think we put 5 wins in a row. So those 2 games for me were pivotal for our season this year.
And you have a rematch against Fordham coming up this weekend. You lost by 3 in the Bronx about a month ago. What do you think are the keys to pulling out a win at home on Saturday?
Well, anytime you play Fordham, it's going to be a fight. I mean, they're going to be physical, very physical in nature. I feel like they go into games, they say, we don't care how many fouls, you just not get anything in the paint. For us, number one, we have to take care of the ball. We've lost a couple games and won some with high turnover numbers. And when our turnover numbers are low, we're getting shot attempts. We're very difficult to beat. Also think we've cranked up a lot because we got some players back healthy. Our pressure, I'm in the full court. Three-quarter court pressure, half court pressure has really helped us turn people over. But capitalizing off those turnovers is a new space for us the last couple of games, but we've pretty deep now, and it's given us the ability to use our depth. That would probably be the second thing. And the last thing is I think the top defensive rebounding team. We want to challenge them on the boards on both ends of the floor. And we got to make shots.
Yeah.
They don't give you much in the paint. Nani had a good game against them. She found her way. She gets 2 feet in the paint. She rebounded the ball. She stayed at the free throw line. So we know that's what she's going to bring. But we got to make some more shots, and we got to get out in transition on them to win the game. But I would say for me, it's rebounding. For us, it's taking care of the ball. That's a huge shift for us, one way or the other. And our pressure, hopefully that's something we didn't do to them last game that we're definitely going to do to them tomorrow.
I would say definitely physicality.
Yes.
Just getting to the basket. Like she said, we haven't been getting many foul calls these past few games. So like our guards just staying on attack, even if they're going up, not getting the foul calls as easy rebounds for us as bigs on the opposite side, just to get like second chance points. And then also they're a really good rebounding team on the offensive end. They get, I think, like 16 offensive rebounds. So just limiting them with their rebounding on the defense and the offensive end, I feel like will definitely help give us extra chances at opportunities at shots, but then also slowing their game down and slowing them down of what they're known for, because they're more of like a check and chase kind of team. So like if they shoot it, they do go grab it, try to lay it up, get it closer around the rim. So just limited their rebounds.
And, for both of you, what are your goals for the rest of the season?
How do you go first on that one?
Our goal, of course, as a whole team is to win A10. Because I feel like every team that we've played, we've given them the game. Richmond, we played them twice. Second game, when we went into the locker room, we just felt like we just wanted to play with them. We were content with, okay, like we're in the game, like, but we didn't go over that hump of like, let's actually win the game. And so like, I feel like any team that in this conference, we definitely can hang with. And so definitely winning A10, like that's number one.
For me, the overall goal for them, 15 is greater than one was, I think everybody in this conference wants to win the tournament. Get an opportunity to go to an NCAA tournament. And, I think since we've been in this conference, of course, before Dayton kind of ran the tables, and in a lot of ways, Shauna did a great job here. But I thought St. Louis came in and really delivered a punch. Nobody kind of knew, new team. They come in and win the conference, and last year to watch Richmond. So that's always number one goal for us. For me right now is beating Fordham tomorrow. Because seeds matter, everything. I think that's what's kept us present is we attack the next team coming. So we gonna know everything about them, that's what kept us, even when we were winning, we went on our winning streak. It was like next person, next victim, next victim, next victim. And right now that's all we see is maroon or whatever color they are. And that's all we see is Rams,
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are right now.
Well, thank you both for joining me today. And thanks to our listeners for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen every day. And make sure to tune in tomorrow to hear from our WNBA draft crew and every Monday through Saturday for more women's basketball coverage.